The Paschal Baseball Coaches Show is brought to you by the Lone Star Podcast Network. You can find the show on Spotify, on Apple iTunes, on any place podcasts are found. But if you want to hear more high school sports-related shows, head over to LoneStarPodcast.com. And if you would love to get a show for your high school sports team, when you're on LoneStarPodcast.com, look for the link that says Coaches Show. All right, everybody join me in welcoming Coach Clint Dunham, the head coach of Paschal Baseball. Coach, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing wonderful. I get to talk about sports with coaches. Well, what a good life, right?
That's the truth. I get to coach the kids, and you get to talk about it.
I love it. Well, let's talk about him. Let's talk about you first, though. Tell me kind of your coaching background and what led you to this position.
I spent my career. I started my baseball coaching career in Houston. I played. Grew up in Arlington, Texas, so fairly local. Graduated from Lamar High School. Played baseball there. And then I went and played college baseball at a couple stops along the way. I went to Northlake College in Irving, Tarleton State out in Stephenville, and then I graduated playing at UT Dallas. So finished playing and knew that baseball was something that I loved, and some really influential people in my life that were my coaches, my dad included. So and baseball has just kind of always been what I've loved and what I've been about. So it was made sense to keep doing it. I coached. So I left college baseball playing and went right into coaching college baseball. So spent 4 years in Houston at a small Division I university and kind of learning the ropes and kind of the low man on the totem pole and kind of moved my way up there and spent 4 years in college baseball and then met my wife along the way, and she was in Dallas and I wanted to move back home. So I looked for coaching jobs, and Paschal was the first interview I had for high school, and they offered me the job, and I jumped on it. So that was 10 years ago, and wow. Here I am.
Well, talk to me about Paschal, because it seems that across the board, whatever Panther sport we're talking about, there's a lot of excitement around the school these days.
Yeah, it's really fun. So we dropped down to 5A for the first time in 30 years. So wow. A lot of sports that have maybe struggled in the past to make the playoffs, or we dropped down one classification, and now they're winning district titles and contending and moving multiple rounds in the playoffs. So baseball, we've been incredibly fortunate that we've been competitive the whole way through. We haven't missed the playoffs since I've been at Paschal, and that was kind of a badge of honor we wore in 6A. And as we moved to 5A, we're kind of hoping that 1 and 2 round playoff appearances could turn into 3, 4, and possibly contend for state championships along the way.
I love that. And talk about last year's team, because, they get into the playoffs and went quite a bit further than I think a lot of people were expecting, making it to the area round.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a group that they played hard together. We did not have a lot of success early on in the year, but we won the exact right games to get in the playoffs. And they were a group that when they played well together, they were pretty dangerous at times. And I think we overachieved for the most part. We snuck into the playoffs, and then we stole around from one of the best districts in the state, and it was their district champion. So something we were super proud of, and something that hopefully that carries a little momentum into this year, and the kids know that, hey, if we can compete at that level, hopefully we can do even better at this level.
That's true. And talk to me about who's coming back from that team. What kind of experience?
So I got all my pitchers but one are back, basically. So that's kind of what we're going to lean on a lot this year. So some guys we used a bunch last year. Jackson Dyer is a senior this year. He's been with the varsity for 3 years. I expect him to be part of our rotation. Owen Settle was a huge part of the team last year as a sophomore, and he was kind of a tiny, low 70s reliever and threw a ton of strikes for us. And he's kind of grown up, and he's got a lot bigger and a lot stronger. And now he's a junior, and he's throwing low 80s. And so we expect really big things from him. And then and we get Junior Alanis back too, and he's a senior who he won game 1 in the first round for us and threw a complete game, and he was awesome last year. And we really think those 3 guys will kind of be the core of our rotation, with some other young guys coming in too. That'll be a lot of fun to follow.
Nice. And let's talk about position players. You've had 1 scrimmage so far. How set are you in knowing what your lineup looks like, and who can we expect to see?
Yeah, so this year is probably one of the most unique ones I've had since I've been here, in that there are so many spots that are still wide open, even after 1 scrimmage. I made the lineup for today's scrimmage, and I was looking, and there was about 14 guys I wanted in the starting lineup today. So it's good. It's been a lot of competition. There's a few returners back. Simon Pate and Hudson Sharp both hit in the middle of the order for us last year, and they're for sure going to be there every day for us, and we know that. And a lot of new faces along the way, though, that are hoping to contribute as well. So a couple ones that we know we can lean on and trust a little bit, but we got 6, 7 new spots that we got to fill also, and hopefully these kids start stepping up and showing us who those are.
Excellent. And so when opponents think of Paschal baseball, do they think of pitching? Do they think of hitting? Do they think of fielding? What is the one that they go, okay, this is what we got to pay attention to?
I think we're just a really frustrating opponent for a lot of teams. I think that when you look, we just don't have many arms that are going to throw over low to mid 80s, and you play teams that do have more than that. And then you look, and we're not as big, but we're going to put a lot of balls in play. We are going to play really quality defense. We try to pride ourselves in being the best base running team that day, every day. So we really think that's where we can carve out a niche over other teams and do well. But we throw a lot of strikes. We play really quality defense. And I think if you ask coaches and players around, I think it's just we feel like we're pesky. I think we're a gritty team usually, and they play hard.
Nice. Yeah, that's kind of the key with most sports. If you're scrappy and you're smart about how you play, you can play with anybody.
Yeah, and I think that's where we found we had success in the playoffs last year. Was you look around and we realize we can play with anybody when we pitch and play defense, and you get those timely hits. So that's what we really try to pride ourselves on, doing all those little things correctly.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about district a little bit.
We have entered a new district that is all Fort Worth ISD. So we were the largest Fort Worth ISD school in Fort Worth, and we've been bigger than everybody else. We dropped our numbers down just slightly, so we are now in with 6 other teams, all in Fort Worth as well. So kind of anybody who's not familiar with Paschal, we're located right by TCU. So we are the closest public school to TCU, and we are purple and white everything as well, and we love the frogs, and that's kind of our area.
And so you don't have a big travel budget because everybody's right there in Fort Worth. But who do you expect to make some hay in the district?
So Arlington Heights is the forever rival of Paschal High School. It's one of the oldest rivalries in Texas. It's 100 years old, and the schools just don't like each other much. So it's a really fun rivalry. They have been the district champion in that district for a long time as a 5A school. We play them once a year. It's always super competitive, but now we get to move it to a couple district games that mean a lot. So we hope and we expect to compete with them for a district championship this year, and that's kind of the way it'll be. And hopefully we take care of the other teams along the way like we should. But we also know that there are some pretty solid opponents in there too. They're fairly competitive.
And how about some of the, I guess, underclassmen who you think have a chance to surprise and maybe get into the lineup and make some real impact?
Yeah, I don't even know if it's a surprise at this point. We have 4 sophomores that they all traveled with us last year to the playoffs as freshmen, so they kind of got that first taste with everybody. They've been with us all fall, and a couple of them I expect to start if they continue to do what they're doing, and others along the way they got some tools that are really, really good. So those 4 sophomores, it's Mason Young, Matthew Hernandez, Roman Uruguay, and Richard Gallardo. So they're all they're probably 4 of the better pitchers in the sophomore class, but I'm not sure how much all of them will throw on varsity for us. 3 of them will throw a lot in tournaments. But Roman will play some out. Will probably play a lot of outfield for us and infield, and just kind of float around wherever. So we are really, really excited about our sophomore class. We got about 20 sophomores. Those 4 are on varsity, and there's 16 others that it's an incredibly competitive JV group that we're super proud of. So we've stacked the JV schedule in preparation for next year, and we expect a lot from those sophomores.
Excellent. And a lot of teams will have like a motto or a vision for the year. What is it that you're driving into the kids this year?
I think that we want them to compete every day, and we want them to really recognize who the leaders are in the team. And at times that's what we're really trying to get out of them, is some of those seniors that have been around to find their voice, because they've done a really good job falling in line for the last few years, and but just leadership, and that's what we really have been trying to drive to the kids, is find out who those leaders are, and they don't have to be seniors. They can be anybody, but be those guys who show up and do the right thing every day, and lead by example.
Excellent. Well, and I need to jump back to the scrimmage. What did you see there?
It was interesting. On the scoreboard, we played 14 innings. We played 2 different 7-inning games. We won 1. We lost 1. The innings where we gave up runs, we made a couple errors 1 inning, and then we walked people. And really, that was about it. Offensively, I think the at-bats were okay. When I at first, if you looked at the results of the game, I wasn't happy. But I kind of rewatched it, and I thought, these weren't that bad outs. There were some hard-hit ground balls. The kids were aggressive. They weren't getting beat by fastballs. So to me, I think we were missing a lot of pitches, but we weren't too far off. So we get to play again tonight versus Keller Central. I think their pitching will be a little better, and we'll find out kind of if the kids made some adjustments yesterday, and if we're kind of getting more in the flow of things as we see live pitching more.
Excellent. And I know, it's a brand new start of the season. So you should be healthy, but how is the team health-wise?
I would have said we were great until last week. We had Charles Witherington, who was an all-district outfielder for us last year. He pulled his hand a little bit, so he's going to miss tonight. And then Luke Jowers is a football kid who also hits the baseball really well, and he's competing to start in right field. So it was a freak thing. We broke out of our scrimmage on Saturday. He stepped out of the dugout and turned his ankle pretty bad, just out of nowhere. So weird deal. Both of them were at the trainers this morning. I got a good report. We're going to rest them tonight, and hopefully they're both back Saturday. So minor things that shouldn't affect us by opening day, but other than that, health is all good.
Sounds good, Coach. Well, good luck in the scrimmages. And I look forward to talking not only next week, but every week throughout the season.
I look forward to it, Chris. Thank you very much.
Hey, I want to thank you for listening to the Paschal Baseball Coaches Show and remind you to get out there and support your Panthers. Get to their games, let them know that you are rooting for them. Share this show and let everybody know about Paschal Panthers baseball. Hey coaches, did you know we're now offering shows for all sports? That's right, whether it's basketball, volleyball, softball, baseball, football, soccer, you name it, we've got you covered. If you're looking for a way to showcase your program, promote your players, and highlight the amazing things happening with your team, our coaches shows are the perfect solution. Plus, our business model lets you or your booster club raise money while building excitement and support for your program. Don't miss the opportunity to take your team's story to the next level. Find out how you can get your very own coaches show. Reach out to Chris at 713-269-4600. 713-269-4620 today. That's 713-269-4620, because every team deserves the spotlight.